Recently, I conducted a case study with the company ebookfairs.com. They have an editorial review service, and they were willing to allow myself as well as 5 additional authors to take their editorial reviews for a test spin. They could give 5 of those authors 5 editorial reviews, and we'd see how things shake out. Now, believe it or not, it didn't come out perfect. It actually had some issues and some hiccups, and thankfully, the folks over at eBook Fairs were very accommodating. They were able to fix some of the issues, and at any rate, rather than spoiling the whole thing for you, why don't I get you the actual interview, the unedited, unclipped, raw interview for all 5 of these authors, so you hear exactly what their thoughts are about the whole process and some of the behind the scenes look. Now, normally I would put this video out on my channel memberships. It's kind of like Patreon, but on YouTube, a great way to help support the cause. But this time around, I'm going to give it to you 100% free, so that way I can kind of do a shameless plug here for dalelinks.com/memberships. You want more details about how you can get exclusive interviews like this and exclusive behind the scenes videos only for channel members. Go ahead and visit that link. If you're not able to do it, I totally understand. You're going to continue to still get some of the great videos and interviews that you do here on this podcast. But this time, and this time only, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some unedited and unfiltered access to what we did behind the scenes here with these 5 different interviews. I hope that you enjoy this, and I hope that you find enough value in it that you go ahead and consider joining channel memberships. That's dalelinks.com/memberships. Without any further ado, let's get into the interview with the 5 different authors. Okay, Andy, show me what you got here. You've got 5 reviews, correct?
That's right. I've got 5 reviews from eBook Fairs. We'll just scroll through them, and yep, we can have a chat about them and what I thought about it.
Okay, let's take a look at this very first review here. Obviously, it looks like it's very detailed. Walk me through some of you obviously don't need to read the whole thing to me, but walk me through this particular review. What were your thoughts on this particular one here?
I feel like this one, they read through the book, and they may have skimmed past a few chapters. The person, I believe, kind of has some knowledge about the book itself, so that was good. And yeah, I think it was a fair review, I think. Of 5 stars, I'm not going to complain about that for sure. But yeah, I was happy with this review overall. It showed that
it's fairly detailed then. It was certainly worthwhile then. What about that second review?
So this one, okay as well, I think. Again, 5 stars, definitely happy with that. They did dig deep into some of the things, which is quite useful. So it showed that they actually did read the book, I believe. So yeah, this one was okay as well, in my opinion. Yeah.
Question here. I'm very happy to say that I found a negative aspect about the book. What does that mean?
I believe that was probably a typo. I'm happy to say that, I believe they were going to say, I'm happy to say that I found no negative aspect about the book.
Okay, all right. I needed a review whisperer here because I wasn't sure what the heck does that mean.
I think, I'm pretty sure that's a typo.
Gotcha. All right, let's see review number 3.
Number 3, this one was okay as well. Definitely more a professional feel to this one, I think. And again, it showed me that the person actually read some of my book, which is good. I was happy with this as well. I do believe it. It's a fair assessment of the book, so it's not like this was crap and it was a short review. This was a reasonably detailed review as well for this one, so it's okay.
Nice, not bad. All right, let's see review number 4, because I know you've got one of them coming up. You were less than satisfied with it.
One of them I was a bit. You'll see. It's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
So
this one's a little lower. They did a 4 out of 5 stars on this one.
This one was a 4 out of 5.
Were they able to justify that lack of star?
Yeah, they actually went into detail as to why they felt that 1 star maybe was not deserved, which is fair enough. We're okay with that. It has to be a reasonable assessment from their perspective. So they said there were links to websites at intervals, which I guess I'm not going to repeat this, but it may annoy some readers. Okay, and basically, if the links weren't there, it might not have detracted as much through the book. So yeah, I
What
think that's
type of
not
links did you
unreasonable.
have? Were they like affiliate links or something like that?
No, they were links to
Interesting.
articles. Yeah, there were articles about how something. This is how bad things can go wrong. You know, that's basically it.
And
So
so their justification was they want all the information placed in the book rather than having to go through a link, then, I take it.
that's right. So they would prefer not to click off, essentially. Yeah,
That's
I
a fair
think.
argument. I don't see anything wrong. I thought at first maybe it was like you were putting some affiliate links and they were just getting annoyed by
No.
it, but interesting. Very good. All right, let's see what that fifth one is because I
Okay,
feel like you saved the best for last.
I did. I did. So number one, I'll just scroll quickly through the first four.
Look at that wall of text.
Exactly. So the first four, you can see the structure. It's kind of well thought out, and this one, it's a wall of text. And if you took the time to read, I think, and I can't say for sure because I don't know anything about the reviewer. Now I'm going to give the person the benefit of the doubt in that English may not be their first language. So that's
Okay.
one potential idea that I came up with. Now the other less pleasant one will be this might be fully AI generated, and they essentially just copied and pasted something. So I didn't feel that this was a particularly good review. So obviously I'm not going to complain about 5 stars, but I think the wording here, it's really too generic, and it doesn't have any specifics which kind of indicate that they probably didn't even read the table of contents, which, I mean, at least read the table of contents. Yeah, I mean, do me
Yeah.
a favor, read the table of contents. At least you have a feel. Read the first paragraph of each chapter or the last paragraph of each chapter, so you know what it's about. But I think this was kind of I would feel quite let down if this was something that I received. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my only thing about this one particularly was a bit of a letdown in my view. So it didn't suggest any specifics that was even highlighted within my book, and the
So it's really
wording.
tough to even use this as an editorial review because
That's
there's no
right.
real
How would you? Yeah,
substance to it.
exactly. This one you couldn't use this. Well, you probably shouldn't use it. Even if although you can, you probably wouldn't want to use this. You know.
Yeah. You're skillfully and dispel popular myths.
Exactly.
What?
The
What?
new and confident approach. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's nothing actually new in what I wrote. It is a different perspective, but there's nothing actually new. So yeah, I would say if you got something like this, you'd probably be a little disappointed. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But the other four, so I mean, let's face it, it's a kind of a numbers game sometimes. You throw 10 darts, you're bound to get one or two that may not hit the mark. And you just hope that it doesn't miss the mark fully. At least you get on the board. I think this one didn't get on the board, and that's the biggest issue with this one. But 4 out of 5, decent reviews where you can maybe take a couple of lines here and there for an editorial review. I think it's not unreasonable. But yeah, that's been my
Nice.
experience so far. Yeah.
Now, have you used any of the editorial reviews on like your Amazon product pages, on your websites, or anything else like that yet?
No, not yet, but I plan to. So
Okay.
I probably will use these on my website for sure at some point. I'll probably use one or two lines in the editorial review section. So yeah, well, I think probably not this particular review, but one of the other four I think would be not unreasonable to use one or two lines from there. But yeah, overall, not unhappy with it. I think the 1 out of 5 we can probably overlook, but it's just something for people to be aware of. It is kind of a numbers game. It depends who picks up your book, and
Yeah.
there's no like guarantee you're gonna get the best reviewer with the best fit for your specific book. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they read different genres or something. That's always a possibility. So yeah,
So,
that
would you recommend getting these editorial reviews through ebookfairs.com?
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's absolutely worth it, especially when you're first starting out, when you don't really have any reviews. I think it would help. to at least show that other people have read it, and this is what other people think. I mean, I appreciate that you probably have to pay for the editorial reviews, but you're paying for a professional review, or professional or someone to be a bit more professional rather than, an everyday reader who doesn't review many books. Maybe there are readers who review many books, and those are not the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who do this kind of maybe almost for a living. This is what they do. This is what they enjoy doing. So getting that perspective is very useful, and yeah, absolutely, I would recommend this, especially if you're just starting out. It doesn't hurt to have an editorial review or two.
Gotcha. Any last minute things that you would like to share with me about your experience in working with ebook fairs?
Yeah, the reviews came in very quickly. I got to say, I was taken by surprise. They do have a function to, and I probably should have kept a closer eye on it, but they do have a function to turn off auto accept, so you can vet the reviewers that you want to review your book. I didn't know that, so I
Yeah.
set everything up, and I obviously took the evening off. And the next morning, all slots were filled, so I didn't have a chance to go in to untick auto accept. So if you do need to keep an eye on that. So if you do not want to have anyone just download your book, then you need to untick auto accept. I didn't actually know how to do that, so I contacted ebook fair support, and they were very, very responsive. So under 24 hours, I believe it was under 12 hours actually. So support was very responsive, very to the point. So they gave good directions on what I needed. So support was fantastic. The service obviously very, very good. Came back within, yeah, I think my reviews came back within 4 days, 3 or 4 days, which is not unreasonable because there's over 40,000 words to read, so it takes people some time to read.
Yeah.
But yeah, turnaround time fantastic, support perfect. Yeah, the only thing I would say for anyone using it for the first time, if you want to vet your reviewers, or if you don't want anyone to download your book, you probably want to keep an eye on the auto accept system. Yeah.
All right, so now the dust has settled, Chris. We've gone and done the editorial review service through ebookfairs.com. Generally speaking, like, how was the whole experience for you?
It was pretty good. The process was very simple. I immediately got 5 people signed up to use my book, to read my book and give me reviews. And I got really solid reviews out of the people who took the time to do it. I did have one person bail. That's maybe on me. It's my long book. But in general, the reviews were pretty solid, and I got some great quotes that I'll be able to use moving forward in my marketing.
Was there any part of the process where you were able to go back to the reviewers when they weren't leaving the review in a timely fashion?
Yeah, I was. I left comments on all of the reviewers, and I did get one extra bump out of it. So I think at 3, and
Mhm.
that helped. I was able to make contact with folks, so it was great. I think that it's going to be really useful down the line. It's been a better experience than some of the other places I've gone to try and get just regular reviews out of Amazon. So that was positive. There were people who really seemed to have put some thought into their reviews.
Nice. Okay, so let's back it up just a little bit. What was the onboarding process like for you? Was it fairly intuitive? Was there any difficult part in the process?
No, not really. The interface is pretty clear. I found it a little awkward sometimes to find my review page if I wasn't using their email link. But generally speaking, it was a simple process. Not anything that's really going to throw anybody off to use. And as I said, it took almost no time to get 5 people to sign up. So that was great. It was just getting all of the last stragglers to come in took a little effort for me. So overall, it was a pretty positive experience.
Nice. All right, so let's take each one of these reviews one at a time, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are of each one of these reviews. What you feel about the substance of it? Was there a merit to each one of those? And feel free to go ahead and share some of these reviews if you wish.
Yeah. The first review was really positive. It was 5 stars. It's a little long, but there was some great stuff that I pulled some quotes from. The book Vol Hollywood is it's a fantasy novel set against Hollywood history, and the person summed up by saying the author's fascination with classical Hollywood films is consistently evident through the novel. As a fan of classical movies myself, I can definitely attest to the fact that this book is worth the read. If you have a keen interest in vintage Hollywood films, or if you're searching for a distinctive, innovative, and action-packed read, then your search is over. So that's a pretty nice quote from the first one.
Yeah.
Second reviewer gave me 4 stars, but actually had some of the best quotes. Said, "This is a fascinating novel with a unique twist on the afterlife. Essentially, it is a supernatural mystery book that will glue readers to the edge of their seats. The ideology where fame serves as a currency in this world creates a powerful spin to the storyline. Chris Apple is victorious in his shrewd ability to create a captivating world brimming with suspense and danger." Those are much longer reviews, but just those two gave me a lot of fodder that I can use for social media ads, and I'll be taking bits of those and adding them to my Amazon editorial reviews. So that was good.
Super smart.
There were 2 other reviews. Both really liked the book, not quite as florid in their description. So I appreciate that each of them left 5 stars. Nothing there I'm probably going to be able to mine for quotes like the first two, but they both seem to really enjoy it, which is always nice to see after you've worked on a book for as long as I have. And as I said, the fifth reviewer never got theirs in under the deadline. So pretty solid though. I've had people turn in reviews on things like Pubby and get books reviewed, which were not quite as well structured and well thought. Yeah. Or like I had a book report in the next day and just faked it. So these were really solid reviews. This is good material.
Nice, good stuff. So you had an overall positive experience then.
Yeah. I would definitely rate this over any of the other review sources that I've dealt with.
Nice. All right. Well, is there any last minute thing that you would like to share about your experience with ebook fairs and the editorial review process?
As I said, the editorial review process was really smooth. I enjoyed working with ebook fairs. Because I was doing this, I was in on their October fair and won a gold ribbon in that. So that's a nice bonus to this experience. Thanks to you and the folks at ebook fairs, it was really, really good experience. In my year that I've been self-publishing, I've really leaned on your channel and a few other sources for information, and it was great. Thank you for putting this together and running it for us.
Nice. Would you recommend other authors test out ebook fairs for getting editorial reviews?
Yeah. I think it's a solid source for that. Give it a try.
Hello, Dale. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to work with you. Let's get into the reviews.
The first reviewer was very positive and liked my book. She named world building and action scenes as strong aspects of the story, and she explained what she liked about these aspects. It was clearly not made by AI, but by a critical human reviewer. The third review didn't provide me with much feedback, but one positive part was that it compared my book to another book series she had read.
Now, the last review was by far the best. It was a 2-star review that explained not only what the weakest parts of the story were according to the reviewer, but also why.
For instance, Verhan's susceptibility to manipulation undermines his character, making the central figure seem gullible. While I had definitely made the protagonist flawed in this way, it seems that, unfortunately, the reviewer couldn't identify it was the character.
For me, this is a high-level critique, because the reviewer explained exactly why he gave the rating he did.
Overall, I will definitely consider paying ebook fairs for editorial reviews for my next book. The best part of the overall experience was that it gave me exactly what I was expecting.
Now, I was skeptical at first if ebook fairs hired real reviewers, but after seeing that their social media handles were actually shared on the site, I could see that these were actually real reviewers. The only issue I had was with two of the reviews, in which more than the first half of the review was about summarizing the book, almost to the point of spoiling it, and only a few lines at the end explaining what worked and what didn't for them.
All right, Wes, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit more about your experience in doing the editorial reviews. So how many reviews did you get altogether out of the 5 that you applied for?
Okay, so there was 5, as you just mentioned. There was a real quick acceptance rate of it, like within a matter of hours, all 5 of them get accepted because that's how they have their system set up.
Yeah.
I got the first response back in like a day or so, which my book is like 109,000 words, so that kind of raised the flag for me.
Got some speed readers here.
I mean, I could burn through the book in a day, but I've already read it like 20 times before, so yeah. That one, and I got a hold of like you and the guy who's in charge of it, and that one, that one just didn't sit right at all. I didn't think it was. I thought it was fraudulent, really. It struck me, and I talked to them and everything. They even have a report system for that. So that one got nixed. Over the next week or so,
Hang on
I
a second.
2 more.
Before you go on to that one right here, let's back up to the fraudulent one. So what was that process like? And what kind of, other than 109,000 words being read within, such a short time period, what else triggered you to think like, oh, this is probably not a good or honest review?
Okay, so complete honesty on that one. It was a pretty much well written review, but it was also short and aside. But when you yourself, when you have a written work and you put it out there, and then somebody starts talking about it, you start realizing who's BSing you and who's actually read the story. So the thing was, when I was looking through it, it was like he was using like really flowery and just flattering words with it, which unfortunately, I'll admit, I was like, oh yeah, kind of liked it. And then I read it all the way through, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I went back and I read through it a couple more times. What he discussed was literally just in the first couple pages of the book. No context whatsoever, which happened later on. He made it seem like everything, the whole story was just about the first few characters, which was like 1% of the whole cast. None of the other plots, nothing else. Mentioned nothing at all of several of the other twists or stuff that other beta readers and readers had griped at me about because they didn't like certain twists. And, well, they didn't like how certain characters got certain things and other ones didn't.
Yeah.
And then near the end of it, it made some comments about that it literally just didn't make sense for the genre as a whole. He was saying something about how it was a educational and informative read, and if you're recommending it for people that if they want to gain more knowledge to definitely read the book. And I'm like, this is a 100% work of fiction. So,
okay, that's where I was confused for a second. So that definitely was the biggest red flag, I think, at this point, when they're saying it's educational.
Yeah, it was like the last quarter of it was talking about that, and I was like, no. Like, I was even trying to think of it like, is this an ESL issue or something like that? And I was like, after a while, I was like, no. And that's why I had to go and find out about like, okay, what's going on? What should I do about this? And then I got advice from you and the owner, and went in to report it, and they have an entire straightforward system on doing that. You just have to go there and look at it at the top.
Nice.
And now that you guys pointed it out, I looked at it, and right there at the top, above the review, it says if you think it's something like if you think this doesn't seem right, or if you think this has not been a true review, submit it for review. And that it explained that they're looking for true, honest reviews, and that if people are trying to game the system or anything, they don't want those kind of people on the platform. So I did that. It was really straightforward and all that. Yeah. Haven't heard anything back about it, but like if they looked at the review, it'd just be like, yeah. It's like they don't even have to get far in the book and just like, yeah.
I'm sure Kenny's following up on it for sure. If he doesn't get back with you, I'm sure he's probably trying to keep it, to himself. Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were going into the better part of the
Yeah.
reviews beyond
So
this one.
all right. So I'll just add one more piece of salt to the ocean of mix. There is one that
Sure.
still, as of today, over like a month later, never filled it. It's still there's a no show. It's still blank. So
Okay.
the other three, however, was I could tell by the things that because they'd mentioned certain things in the story. A couple of them had the very noticeable flags in there that they had read it and were making some of the same comments that some other beta readers was. So I was like, yay, good review.
Nice.
A couple of them were even as extra helpful, where they'd noticed either some kind of a typo or something in the book, and they're even like extra helpful and actually like at the bottom of the review put page numbers and showed me where it was. So
Oh,
like, I
wow.
mean, that was definitely like above and beyond and very like grateful. So because you know yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you edit it, there's something's going to slip by. But
Always.
yep, but yeah, um, and there was even a couple other things in there. Like one of the things that somebody had mentioned that I hadn't thought of at the time of writing that book was that considering some of the subject matter in the book, because it's it, after sanity, after post-apocalyptic, all this kind of stuff, bad vibe, bad juju. That it's got some subject matter that some people might want to like have a warning at the front or something about that. Like I usually discuss it with somebody, but I hadn't thought about putting anything in like in the beginning of the book or whatever. So
Yeah.
they made some pretty good suggestions like in the review about that as well, and I appreciate that.
Nice. All right. So, what were your thoughts about the whole onboarding process? Did you find it intuitive? What was the user interface like?
Um, it was surprisingly and shockingly easy to get through. I don't know if you remember, I was like messaging you guys. It was like, am I doing this right? Because it just seemed so easy to get through it. Basically, you just upload a copy of your book in an ebook file, and then they start. I guess they start a petition request, whatever, and then people
Mhm.
bid for it or something. Ask, and then boom, you get within a certain amount of time where you get the email that says somebody has requested to do a review for you. Separate emails, but that just
Okay.
lets you know you got it. So yeah, it was
Nice.
real easy.
So, what were what's your thoughts about the entire experience if you were to summarize it?
Okay, so this is probably a multi-part. I'm not sure if you want to get into this part, but I think it's an interesting tool for getting these kind of reviews and getting people to look at it and all this, getting more feedback and all that. Which, as
Mhm.
an author, it's always important. It might not even make it in your current book. Might not be good enough to redistribute the same book or anything like that. Um, get the onboarding was quick. The response times were amazing. So that was great. The one thing that I would say would be I'm trying to figure out like how does this specific tool fit into my toolbox, if that makes sense. Like as far as writing books and all that, and authors and just business in general, you're trying to do an ROI on where you're putting your funds and where you're spending your time and all that. And I was looking at this one, and it's like I could see how this could be very, very useful for some people. But then the big question that pops up is, um, how are the people that are reviewing these books finding the site, and then basically what is that pathway that goes from somebody who doesn't know you to them finding the review for what you're doing? Because like say Amazon or Facebook or anything, they have a inbuilt communities there, and you can kind
Yeah.
of feed or direct off of that. But when it comes to entirely other sites that like just being, I hadn't even heard of them before like, talking with you and this little experiment we're doing. So I was wondering on how that could actually be effective for my goals as a writer and fit into my own toolbox, if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
at this stage, I'm not sure if it would. Especially
Mhm.
when you factor in the one was a complete no-show and one was completely fraudulent, because that's a 40% no zone right there. But
Yeah.
the three that I did get were good, so that was great.
Do you think if all 5 of them came through just like those 3, that it would probably be a more positive experience for you?
Unquestionable. Like it
Yeah.
definitely would. It wouldn't start making me. Best way to put it, it wouldn't start making me question the platform, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
because you start wondering like how are they being incentivized to do this, or like how is this going on? Because
Yeah.
like I've told a lot of people, I would rather have a 4-star review on Amazon that's detailed versus a 5-star. Your book's amazing, and that's it. Like I want the
Yeah.
feedback. Even other people, like when I go out and find a review for something, I want to find out what they think about it. Not just this great, because there's so many bots out there, so many people pay for that, and it's like that's not really helpful.
Yeah, generic reviews suck. You might as well just give me the 5 stars and say it's good. If you're not going to
Hmm.
give me some details, why was it good? Give me some reasons why, because you can't sink your teeth in. I'm agreeing with you when it comes to, like, I'd rather have a low review that beats me up, like 1 star, and here's why. It gives me an itemized reason and specific. Yeah, I'm feeling you on that one for sure. Well, Wes, is there any last minute things that you would like to share about your experience with ebook fairs?
Oh, um, best way to put it is I look forward to seeing how this. I hope this can actually progress further and see how far it goes. Because like I mentioned, it like there's different tools, and while this doesn't fit into my particular toolbox at the moment, I could definitely see this potentially getting there, especially if the whole thing with like how the reviews are sorted out is actually streamlined, and maybe a little bit more of information on where they're coming from and how people are being herded without anything, not without other words, towards the book. One other thing, they have the book fairs aspect. So just adding that on there. So they have a book fairs that
Mhm.
you can put your book in there, and then people vote on it. I didn't really get into that and I didn't advertise this at all, like the little thing that we're doing, because I wasn't sure on how. First off, I'm bad at that. But also, I didn't want that having any kind of effect. I wanted it to stand on its own, so we can, the scientific method, get rid of the variables. And oddly enough, without even all that, I had like 66 votes on my book,
Oh,
which,
wow.
yeah, it was like 66 out of the 2,000 something, which isn't a whole lot when you consider the whole lot that was there. But at the same time, it's these people saw it, liked it, voted for it, when there's all these other books they could have voted for, and never heard of me, never heard of it before, and boom, still got, because which for me on that one, I know that people say like don't die of exposure, but at the same time I'm like there's 66 more people that just were exposed to my book that wouldn't have otherwise. So
Okay, EG, it's been about a few weeks now. We did the editorial reviews, so I want to kind of go back through the full experience and ask you a few questions. So let's just start it out with, what was the onboarding process like for you when you were setting up for the editorial reviews?
It was quite easy. You emailed me Saturday morning, I believe, and I replied a couple hours later. And by the evening that day, my book was already out. And actually, by the end of the day, all 5 review spots were taken.
Nice. So it went really fast then.
It was very quick. I
So,
actually had no idea. I expected to take a couple days, so I wasn't even checking
yeah.
my email. And then Sunday, I looked at it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's already grabbed. It's already in the hands of the reviewers.
That's good. So let's go ahead and let's discuss some of these reviews. How fast did they come in, and what was the quality like for each one of them?
Okay. So I got 4 out of 5 to date that came in. The
Okay.
first one came in just 3 days later. And then the second one came in 5 days later. Then the week after, I have my third one. And the fourth one came in about a month, like the 30-day mark. And the fifth one just never came in. But there were, I was impressed. I have them printed out that I can show the length. All of them were, several paragraphs long. They went in depth into the review. All of the reviewers did.
Okay.
Initially, I got the 2 5-star ratings. The third one was a 4-star, and the fourth one was a 2-star rating. So
Ooh, that's
that's
interesting.
why.
So what was that 2-star like?
The 2-star was so this is the one that's the 2-star, and I color marked. The pink one was the positive, and the blue one was, what they didn't like about the book.
Okay.
So it was partially positive. It did touch on both sides. It was objective. I believe this reviewer just wasn't my ideal reader. Was expecting more description, more explanation. Didn't feel like my characters were vivid enough. But on the other hand, the 5-star reviewers said they loved the characters and they felt what they felt. So just got a different perspective, I guess.
Right,
on my
quite a
book.
juxtaposition. You've got this 2-star person saying these characters are awful, and then you got this 5-star person saying these characters are fantastic. So it's clearly a matter of taste and not necessarily of your writing skill itself.
And that's how I felt. I approached it as not taking anything personal, just seeing what
Yeah.
people think about the book. I mean, got 3 out of 4 very positive 5 or 4-star reviews. So I was very happy with that. And the 2-star reviewer just gave me something to think about, especially when he mentioned he didn't understand the motivation of my character. And that's big. That's one of the things you have to do well when you write your character. And I'm still learning, and this is my first and only published book. So that's something I worked hard on when I was editing. And most of the reviewers whether it's these reviewers or the reviewers on Amazon and Goodreads, they like my characters. But there are couples, so he's not the first one who said, I really didn't understand why she wanted to do this or that. So it gives me something to think about and try to do better with my other books.
Got you. What did you like best about these reviews?
So I like that they went into detail. It wasn't just, well, I liked the book or I liked the characters, just exactly what I liked about the character, what they did, how how they made me feel. I can read maybe some quotes.
Please do.
So the world was bursting with magic, angelic warriors, and evil forces. It's a Let me see. Oh, it's successful in captivating readers' attention and keeping us turning the pages, which is great. It's a young adult novel. I want it to be fast paced. I want readers to keep going, never stop. Right, turn the pages. It was action packed, and the readers were amassed towards it. It was extremely engrossing because of the author's skillfulness in constructing a world where magic exists amidst the battle of good and evil. And I love reading this book due to its imaginative stance on good versus evil. So they give you their own reason why they liked it. And I enjoyed reading that.
Nice. Was there something that you didn't like about the reviews?
No, I can't say that I didn't. Even the
Yeah.
2-star reviews was just constructive criticism. He also went in depth why I didn't like the character because I couldn't figure out her motivation. That's a valid point. So I can't argue with that.
I appreciate the fact that you're so humble about it. You're like, this is my first book. I can kind of expect it. So that is really, really cool of you. So if you were to do this again, if you were to, would you recommend ebook fairs to getting editorial reviews to any other author?
Yes, I definitely would. It's just for your eyes. This is not getting posted to Amazon, Goodreads, anywhere else. And it's always, especially when you're new, like I am. I didn't have beta readers. I did a couple arcs, but no alpha beta readers. Only my editors and me. So even though I published, I'm still learning from this process. And this is almost like a beta reading here that they gave me in the paragraphs they wrote.
Well, good. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead. Is there any last minute things that you would like to share about your experience with ebook fairs?
I plan to explore the website. I noticed they have a lot of other offerings on there. I did play around. They have a AI blurb description tool, and I have tried it, and I compared it to ChatGPT, which you talked about as well. And actually, the ebook fairs did way better. So I would recommend that, and they have many other tools. So I do want to explore their website and services.